Welcome to Road to Recovery.
Hello and welcome to Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents with Sagi Shaked. Sagi is founder of Shaked Law Personal Injury Lawyers and is ranked as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the United States by the American Trial Lawyers Association, with a wealth of experience in personal injury, wrongful death, and complex litigation cases. He passionately advocates for victims and has recovered multi-million-dollar settlements in damages for his clients. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we are going to talk about trucking accidents and what to expect in a trial. Sagi, welcome back.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, so talk about a little bit about why a trucking accident trial is different than other types of injury trials.
Yeah, they're vastly different from, or completely different from, a regular trial. For example, a regular auto case or a fall case. So let's talk in regular auto context. If it's car on car, you really don't have someone who's a professional driver on the other side. When you're dealing with a trucking company or a truck driver, you're dealing with individuals that have to follow federal regulations, whether it's the state regulations or the federal regulations. So there's different components to those types of cases where it can make or break your case. So we have hours of service, how many hours a truck driver is allowed to drive. There's federal regulations dealing with fatigue of truck drivers. There's federal regulations dealing with what a trucking company needs to do when they hire a truck driver. So it's not really just a crash that we're dealing with. The defense wants to paint us into a box and say, this is just a crash. No, it's not. It deals a lot more than just a crash, because you put this dangerous driver on the road that some drivers, remember, there's thousands of people that die every year from trucking accidents. That means they're putting on drivers that shouldn't be driving, and they're changing people's lives. If people die, complete lives are being shattered because a trucking company made a decision to put that driver on the road, or a broker made a decision to hire a company that has drivers who have no experience driving or shouldn't be driving. So when we're looking at a trucking case versus an auto case, it's a rear ender. Yeah, person rear-ended you, they'll admit fault. In a trucking case, they don't always admit fault. But if they do admit fault, what else is going on behind there? What else is going into that? What do I mean? Could you have a claim for punitive damages? Punitive means to punish. Punish who? The driver and potentially the trucking company, because the trucking company put that dangerous driver on the road. Right. So we look at everything. We look at the electronic data recorder to find out how fast was that truck driver going. We look at their GPS because we want to know where they were at every moment. Also, there's cameras in these trucks and cabs. There's cameras that are facing inward into the cab, and there's cameras facing outward, meaning the front of the truck. And you can see what's going on. Now, they also record. And there's signals every time the driver, for example, let's say they drag to the right or to the left, the trucking company is getting a signal letting them know, hey, this guy looks like he's weaving, or this guy looks like he's fallen asleep on the road. And they can tell. So if a trucking company is doing their job, they're going to be able to follow up and say, hey, what happened here, driver? Why are you on the road when you're tired? This is stuff that they should be monitoring, and have someone who's like a safety director just focused on that. That's why they call them safety directors, to ensure that the trucking company is following safe protocol that matches what the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations require, and to ensure that drivers don't cause harm to others. So as you can see, it's not a simple rear-end accident. They try to paint that as a simple rear-end accident, but it's anything but that. If the defense wants to, again, paint that picture, you as the lawyer or as a client, don't let them put you into that box, because that's what they want to do. It's not about that in trucking cases. They're completely different. So you've got to treat them different.
How should someone prepare for a trial if they've been injured in a trucking accident, or how do you prepare them for a trial?
So if my client was injured in a trucking accident, my preparation for a trial starts with the moment I get that phone call. So when we get that phone call, we're preparing, all right, we need to gather evidence, because evidence disappears. We want to get to the scene. We want to see what the scene was like. We want to talk to witnesses. We want to get videos of any recording, from whether it's the street cam, from homes, from gas stations, from restaurants. We want to get that full picture. So we're starting our preparation from trial from the moment we get that case. We're speaking to the witnesses. Because remember, these insurance companies and trucking companies, the first phone call that truck driver makes after a crash is not to the police. The first phone call that they make is to the trucking company, to the risk manager. Why do they do that? Because they're trying to protect their money. So as soon as they make that call, there's a whole team in place, and trucking companies throughout the nation have teams in place that are dedicated to protecting the trucking company and insurance company's money. So they have accident reconstruction experts on staff, human factors on staff, photographers on staff, lighting experts on staff to go out there. They have trucking experts on staff to go out there and protect their money. So you, as the lawyer, need to start off from day one preparing for trial. Everything you do is preparation, from the way you file that lawsuit, what you put in that lawsuit, the way you answer the questionnaires, the interrogatories, the way you prepare your client for a deposition, being in the deposition, the way you prepare your client for a compulsory medical exam or a defense medical exam, the way you prepare for mediation. Everything you do is in preparation for trial. So we're always preparing for trial. And we have a trial notebook that we open on the same day we get the case. We're putting in our hot docs. We're putting in the important documents, the important items, the list of issues to make sure that I'm not preparing the weekend before trial, because you're never going to do well. We focus group our cases. We mock try our cases. So again, sort of like, let's say you're going to the Super Bowl, right? And you're a team. You wouldn't go to the Super Bowl if you've never practiced, right? And you're going to do drills. You're going to look at films. You're going to try to figure out what the defense is doing. And so we do the same thing from the beginning of the case. We're looking at, we'll call the analogy film. We're looking at what the defense is doing in this case. What have they done in other cases? I'll get transcripts from other cases. I'll try to see what kind of depos they take. I'll look at what they do for jury selection, what they do for arguments in closing argument, if they've had trials before. So we're looking at everything when we're preparing. So it's not the moment of, or the weekend before, or a month before. This is months, sometimes years of preparation to get to that moment where we're going to pick that jury and start our trial. So hopefully that answered the question of what do we do to prepare for a trial? It's always ongoing preparation.
What kind of evidence is going to come up in a trucking accident trial?
Yeah, a great question. So in trucking cases, a lot of the evidence you'll see is, we'll start off with the dash cam. That's huge. The dash cam, again, will tell us what's going on interior and exterior. So you'll see that with a lot of trucking companies, because the reason you want to have a dash cam from a trucking company perspective, that look, if you have one of these frivolous claims, you can easily knock it out the park. The problem for the trucking company is if the case is not frivolous, it's going to hurt them. But you're better off having it there. It will reduce your insurance costs, and it'll really tell us the true story of what happened. So I always want to get the dash cam, but you got to send the letter out early to preserve that evidence. So some of the stuff we want to preserve early, because otherwise it just disappears. They're going to say, well, we didn't know there was a lawyer involved, so we didn't keep that damaging video. They wouldn't say damaging. They'll just say, we didn't keep the video. Of course you didn't keep it because it was damaging. Because I guarantee you, if it was good, it was definitely staying and it's never going to be destroyed.
That's right.
So that's one thing. So the electronic data recorder, they have black boxes in all these trucks. We want to know, what does the black box say? How fast were they going? When did they stop? Did they swerve? Did they not swerve? Did they put their lights on? Did they have their seatbelt on? All this stuff tells us a story, and we start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, in trucking cases, the truck drivers, if they're doing interstate travel, which is between the different states, they have to keep a logbook. Now it's electronic, but they have to keep a logbook of every hour that they're driving, every break that they get. We want to know about that, because hours of service violations can make and break a case. It can also help you make a case for punitive damages. It could show that a driver's tired. And we're going to go through that in one of the podcasts, the specific hours that they're allowed to drive, when they can take breaks. So we're going to address that. But those are things we're looking for. So we also want to get their gas receipts. Where do they fill up? What times did they fill up? Does it match up what they're putting in the logs? Because if the logs say, they did the drive in 6 hours like they're supposed to, but the gas receipts don't line up with that, we know someone's fudging, someone's lying, right? And what I always say in every podcast is if you're not credible or you're not truthful, your case is going to get hurt. But if the defense is not credible and truthful and they're fudging or playing with their logbooks, that's going to be a problem for them. If it doesn't all match up, so you have toll receipts, they're all electronic. We can find out. In Florida, you have the toll and you can look online and get every single toll you were at, when you were at those tolls, and there's pictures sometimes, especially if you violate the toll, right? We've all gotten that in the mail.
I have.
So you can start matching it up and you see how we put this puzzle together. So when the trucking company or the truck driver tries to pull a fast one, if the trucking lawyer that you hired is doing their job like we would do, we would easily expose that. So make sure that if you're in one of these trucking cases, you hire someone that knows what they're doing. We're here to help you for that because we know how to expose these trucking companies that are trying to take advantage of people by, pulling fast ones, lying about where they were going, how they were going, when they needed to get there, how they got there, when they got there, lying about their logbooks, so those are kinds of things that we're looking for.
What kind of things should someone expect that they're going to hear from the opposing attorney? What kind of, the trucking company's lawyer is obviously going to go on the offensive. How should someone handle the questions that they throw at you?
Right. So we talked earlier about you had your deposition. You didn't get anything, right?
Yeah, I've had a deposition before. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not, I would say it starts all with the prep. Everything we do is about prep, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a sporting event, if you're not prepared, you're going to get burned. So preparation beats everything. So we always prepare. We prepare the clients for the depositions. When you get those tough questions, or when you get the question, hopefully we've prepared enough where we would have answered every single question that the defense would throw at them. That's why we do these preparation sessions where one of the lawyers in the office will pretend to be the defense lawyer and will be a mean defense lawyer sometimes, just so you can experience it and know what this deposition is going to feel like if the defense lawyer takes the mean turn, or if the defense lawyer is nice. Sometimes you get more with honey than you do with vinegar, right? So if you are really nice to someone, and chum up to them, they think they're going to get some brownie points. So you got to be careful with the super nice lawyer. She may be extremely nice and friendly and soft-spoken, or he may be that same way, and try to get something out of you. You just got to, so we'll do it from both perspectives, the nice lawyer, the mean lawyer, the aggressive lawyer.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, we have to play that way.
Yeah.
Because I want the clients to have that experience. If they've had that experience when they go into the deposition, it'll be a cakewalk. We talked about this on one of the podcasts. I think on one of them, we recently settled the case, and we did, I think, like 12 to 13 hours of prep time, and the deposition only lasted an hour. And so the client felt relieved. He goes, that was a joke compared to the prep. So the prep's always going to be a lot harder and a lot more intense than the deposition will. So we take our time with the prep so they can, when they're doing the depositions, be easy, feel at ease, and answer those tough questions that we anticipate the defense will ask.
It's like doing batting practice with a heavier bat, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So the lighter one feels easy to swing.
Yeah, or running around with weights, right?
Right.
And then when you run without weights, you feel like you're Superman.
Yeah. You feel you could run forever. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice do you generally give your clients before a trial as far as how to stay calm and how to stay focused and not get caught up in what the defense is trying to do to them?
So I always start with the same premise. We are telling the truth. So we're not hiding anything. We're not trying to pull a fast one on anyone. We're the credible story. They've got the not credible story. So if their story is not credible and ours is credible and you're a nice person, the juries aren't going to hurt you, right? So number one, we're going to be honest, we're going to be truthful, and we're going to be nice, because that's generally most of my clients are nice. If I don't like them, I don't want to sign them up as a client. So I tell them at the beginning, this is what's going to happen. If we can't settle your case, we're going to try the case. And so we'll put them through that same simulation at trial. Think about everything that you're doing at trial. You're being watched all the time. And the defense lawyers are salivating to find you doing something so they can point it out at trial. So at trial, we would know there's not going to be any surprises. You're going to know in Florida, in state court is different than federal court. in state court, you get to have all their evidence ahead of time, just like they get to have all our evidence ahead of time. So there's no like gotcha tactics or, what they call Rambo litigation where they're giving us stuff at the morning of trial. It just doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
If you've done your prep work and you've prepared your client, you've prepared them for trial, you've prepared them to take the stand, and juries expect you to do that. So if you're not doing that and your client's getting slaughtered on the stand, it's because of a lack of prep, maybe lack of prep in the deposition or lack of prep at trial. Because if you didn't prepare them in deposition, you're going to get crucified when it comes to trial. So I would say make sure the lawyer prepares the client, go through a simulation of what it's going to feel like to be on that stand, and then read your deposition transcript, stay consistent with what you've always been saying, because sometimes by the time you get to trial, it's been 2 to 3 years since the crash occurred and memories fade.
Sure.
So we want to make sure the story is consistent, honest, and credible. Truth. That's what we're looking for. And if you tell the truth, you'll be fine. No making up facts.
And not only can your memory fade, but they're going to try to attack that. They're not stupid. The defense attorneys aren't stupid. They're going to hope that your memory faded a little bit and try to see if they can catch you saying something different, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice when we catch the defendants saying something different or impeach them. And we'll go through that sample where you have a defense. We had a trial one time as a trucking case where it was a Florida Power and Light. And what happened was in trial, the defendant, the driver of the truck, let me give you a background. So what happened was our client was driving down the road, the power was out. And as the power's out, he sees a truck on the road and it has its lights on and he's driving. He thinks the truck is moving and it turns out the truck's not moving and he smashes into the back of this truck. Turns out that truck should have had those warning devices out on the roadway because the law says when you're stopped on the roadway, having your lights is not enough. That's why we talk about trucks are different than cars, right? When you're stuck on the roadway, you don't have flashers, you don't have triangles, that are reflective so people can see you. So if you're a truck on the road, you got to put out these warning devices because what they say is people will think you're moving with the lights on when you're not really moving. And that's what happened in our case. And so in deposition, the driver of the FPL truck, he said that he stopped his truck. The reason why he stopped his truck is he was going to go check on a transformer in the back of one of the homes because he needed to get the power back up in the neighborhood. And so what happened was I asked him, how long does it take you to check a transformer? And remember, this is all videotaped and you could see everything. So there's a videographer taking this. And he says, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to do a check on a transformer. Okay. And I go, so every transformer? He goes, every transformer. How about the transformer where this crash occurred? How long did it take you to check that transformer? He goes, 15 to 20 minutes, probably closer to 20 minutes. And so why do I tell you this? It's important because now we're going to talk about what happened at trial. So that was in deposition. At trial, when he testified, here's where we have some inconsistencies, right? At trial, he testifies, the defense lawyers ask him questions, and they tell him, well, why didn't you put the warning devices out there? He goes, well, I was only out there 2 minutes. I'm like, and so if you're only out there 2 minutes, then you don't need to. It's like a bus. The bus stops. They don't, the bus picks people up and moves. So when I got a chance to question him, I knew what his answer was because I took his deposition and I read the transcript and I had the video queued up. So I asked him, I don't want to say his name for privacy reasons, but it's an open court. It's still available. But I asked him, Mr. S, how long did you say you were stopped? He goes, 2 minutes. I go, but how long does it take you to check a transformer? He goes, 2 minutes. I go, that doesn't make any sense. I go, have you ever said anything differently? He goes, absolutely not. I go, are you sure? He goes, yes. I go, okay. Do you remember when I took your deposition? He said, yes. Your lawyer was there? He goes, yes. And before we started your deposition, you raised your hand and you swore to tell the truth. He goes, yes, I did do that. And now, remember, now I tell him, well, let's play the clip and see what you said at your deposition when you swore to tell the truth 3 years ago. And then they play the clip of where I ask him, how long does it take to check a transformer? He said 15 to 20 minutes. And there was like 5 times he said it.
Yeah.
So he looked like a complete liar at trial. And so that's a good way to show clients, here's how you can get destroyed at trial and lose all credibility, because 5 different times before trial, he said it was 15 to 20 minutes. Yet when he comes to trial, Suddenly it changes. I wonder why it changed, right?
Amazing.
FPL finally understood what the law was, and they told them just say 2 minutes. And clearly there was funny business going on there, and their jury got it, and that was a 7-figure result. But it's because we exposed the lies. Had they done the right thing, they would have paid us. We wouldn't have to go to trial and have that whole, exposing the driver. And it really wasn't the driver's fault, because the driver was, he lied and he got caught in the lie, but it was really the power company that failed to train their driver on what they're supposed to do when they're stopped. Because if you're stopped for more than 15 to 20 minutes or more than 10 minutes, put those warning devices out. That's what the law says. Florida law says that, and federal law says that. But that's a side note. And that's, again, another reason why trucking trials are different than auto cases. There's just one sample of how it can be completely different than an auto case.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely always important to keep in mind. Well, thanks for tuning in to Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents with Sagi Shaked. For more information or to connect with Sagi, visit shakedlaw.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review in the comments. Sagi, thanks for the stories. Always love chatting with you.
Likewise. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.